Interjection here from Nation of Warriors. This is my second tips and tricks video in my tips and tricks series. So I'm going to show a video here not made by myself. It was actually made in August 2008 by MrMilo. Now MrMilo was one of the Age of Empires 3 moderators like Ryzon is now. He used to play Age of Empires 3 a lot and was pretty good back in the day. He now works for the Age of Empires online team though. So this video here does a pretty good job of explaining some early game tips and tricks to improve efficiency with your settlers at the very beginning of the game. I was going to make my own video, but I thought this does an excellent job of explaining anyway. Why would I want to make the same video again? Not going to recreate it. So here it is. Enjoy.
Hello everybody, MrMilo here. Today I'm going to be showing you a couple little tricks to make your early game more efficient. Your villagers are going to be gathering more and walking less. They're going to be bumping into each other less. You're going to be training villagers really quickly from your town center. These are all little things, not super difficult to do, but the kind of attention to detail that gets you up to the second age, 10, 20 seconds faster, that gets you that many more resources. I'm not going to do any scouting in this game. I already see my second hunt, and so you're not going to see me touch my war chief or my warrior priest. I'm just going to be dealing with villagers. The first thing you want to do at the beginning of the game is to start gathering food, because you want to start training villagers as fast as possible from your town center. So what I'm going to show you here is a little trick to not let your villagers bump into each other. You'll notice that if you just let them walk at the very beginning of the game and go to the food on their own volition, they'll all bump into each other and run around the crates and run around trees, and it'll be a disaster. You're going to waste 5 seconds there. Easy. So what I'm going to show you is a way to pop your villagers through your town center. I'm going to take this villager and this villager, I'm going to select them together, put them in the TC, and then pop them out here to start gathering this food. Then I'm going to take this villager and send them to that food. You can see here, I take that villager and I'm going to put her through the town center and start walking her towards this other hunting patch. Now you see here, I'm exactly at 100 food. This is going to last for about 1 second. This whole time, as I'm telling this villager to go towards the hunting, I have the town center selected, and I'm pounding my villager hotkey. You want to start training that villager as quickly as you possibly can. Sometimes you can start training the villager 6 seconds into the game. Here it's going to happen at 7 or 8. I see sometimes people don't get that happening until 10, 15, even 20 seconds if the person really isn't paying attention. So that's why everyone on food start getting those villagers. So you see, I'm going to take this other villager out here and start her herding back towards my town center. This is something that I like to do that not everybody does. I like to take one villager to do this, because this is essentially time that she is not gathering because she's having to walk. So if I send 2 villagers, I'm sending one more than I need to be walking when they could be gathering crates. So here's another little trick. I shoot the deer, I select the villager, I tell her to walk over there, and then I task her to the deer. Now, that might have happened pretty quickly, and you'll be able to see this a little later. But the basic idea is that you avoid the reloading animation. So the villager will throw a spear, will stand there for a second, throw another one, and then will stand there for a second more before they start walking to the hunt. Now what you can do is, right after that second one is thrown and the deer is dead, you take the villager, you tell him to walk just past the deer, and then you tell them to go to the deer. That way they don't reload. You'll see me do this with these other 2 villagers that I've also taken away from this food crate and pop them through my town center. See, you see them shoot the deer, I tell them to go behind the deer, and then gather. And you see me take another villager, put it through the town center, on to the other deer. Now, something that I talked about in my Dutch guide is not gathering more resources than you need at any given point in the game. Here, I'm going to gather exactly 100 wood and start building my house right as soon as I have that wood. I want to show you something here. This is a little trick that I think a lot of players do, but I know from experience some don't know about it. What's called is shift clicking. So what I'm going to do is I take this villager, I tell her to build that house, then I hold down the shift key and right-click back on my hunting. That way, as soon as she's done with the house, she goes back to the hunting by herself, and I don't worry about it. You can do this with villagers on buildings. You can do this with villagers and resources. One thing I really like to do is if I'm in a big battle or I'm coming up to a big battle and my gold mine is going to run out, I'll take all of my villagers, I'll select all my villagers on my gold mine, right-click the gold mine, and then shift-click to another gold mine. So as soon as that gold mine runs out, they start walking over there, and I can pay attention to my battle. That's a use of shift-click a little later in the game, but it's definitely very helpful early here when you might be scouting and you don't have time to go back paying attention to your villager who has finished building a house. Alrighty. The next thing that you're going to see me do here is send this villager out to go get my second hunting. Now, what your primary objective, in my opinion, for your scout at the very beginning of the game, or the war chief as the case may be, is to find that second hunting, because you want to start shooting it back towards your town center. You see there I do the little avoid the reload animation trick. This is really important because you can start working the hunt back towards your town center. Now, once you have moved a group of hunting, there is a 12-second interval where no matter how many times you shoot the other deer, they will not move. As soon as that 12 seconds is up, you can shoot another deer and they'll all run towards your town center. If you're really on top of your game and you're paying attention to that clock, you can have those deer right next to your town center in less than a minute, just because you'll be able to shoot them back at exactly those 12-second intervals. You won't be perfect. Maybe it'll be 13 or 14. And they'll be right at your town center really quickly. This is really nice because it allows you to push it behind your town center if you think you're going to be rushed, or place it wherever you want to. But the other key is that your villagers won't have to walk very far once they come out of your town center, and that is why herding is so important. You want to cut down on time that your other villagers are having to walk. Just send one villager out to herd back. Another trick that's important to do when you're herding is to use the Alt key. Now here I know that this is the only deer that I've killed, so I haven't touched any of the other ones. But what I like to do is hold down the Alt key, which shows the HP bars of all nearby things, and I can see I don't want to shoot that deer, because then that deer will die and decay, and that's not something you want, because you want to take maximum use of all of the hunts that you have. Now here you see I'm shooting both herds back, and a quick note. One thing that I see some people do is put one villager on each deer. Now that's a bad idea for the very reason I just talked about. You don't want your hunt to decay. Hunting decays really quickly, so if you have 4 deer and one villager on each of them, all of those deer are decaying at a given rate, and your villagers are eating them up at a given rate. But if I have all 4 of those villagers on one deer, I have only one deer decaying. So in effect, I have more hunting if I do it that way. However, there's a trade-off. 6 villagers, in my experience, is about the most you'll ever want to have on a given deer. After that, they start bumping into each other, they start acting strangely. So what I'm going to do here is take a couple of those villagers, pop them through my town center. Again, I don't have to have them walking all over the map and not gathering. If I'm going to have them not gathering, if I'm going to move them around, I want to move them around as efficiently as possible, and that's through the town center. So you'll see me here in a second. Grab a couple villagers, put them through the town center, shoot one of these deer, put them back into the town center, again, to prevent walking, and garrison them right on the deer. Again, that's a little trick to avoid the loading animation that I talked about before. Instead of telling them to walk, you just put them back in the town center and then have them come out. At this point in the game, you're pretty much set on hunting. I've got all this hunt right near my town center. I can focus more on scouting, start to think about what I want to do in this game, start to think about what my enemy is doing. And my primary focus at this point should be focused on not having too many villagers or too few on any given hunting, somewhere between 3 and 6 villagers per small animal like this will do you well. Be aware of how much hunt is left. Here it's 24, so what I would do is I would actually take these guys, shift click them onto that deer so they don't all shoot different deer when I'm not paying attention. I hope you enjoyed this guide today and you can take the time to master a few of these little tricks and get your early game a little more efficient.
As I said at the beginning, I didn't make that video. Full credit does go to MrMilo. If only he still played Age of Empires 3. Feel free to message him, but I doubt you'll ever see him online. There's a link to the original video in the description, but I thought I'd upload it here as part of the tips, tricks guide for people to see. If you enjoyed the video, leave a like, and do subscribe if you would like to see more from this channel. If you're interested in joining us or would like to get in contact, then visit our forums at nationofwarriors.co.uk/forum. Links are in the description.